there was that trend. I mean, what do you think about the GoXLR is dead trend?
Oh,
What was the effect, or how did you feel when the Canadian office was shut down, or when you first found out that it was getting shut down?
um, honestly, I was quite upset. I mean, you don't want anyone to lose their jobs, especially closing office. It From the utilities perspective, it was a bit complicated because while working in tandem with TC Helicon, um, they were providing all the official support, so all of the actual proper maintenance, the firmwares, everything like that, and the utility was just a side project which kind of sat on Linux, macOS, and Windows for those who wanted the extra few features it produced.
Yeah,
So with the office closing and there being a certain chunk of uncertainty as to the future of the GoXLR,
yeah.
it was kind of frustrating because anyone who wanted future updates, they had to come to the utility. And
That puts a whole lot of load on you.
yeah, and I'm not paid enough for this. it,
Definitely.
it's one of the difficulties of open source work in general. I mean, I guess it's a volunteer contribution.
Yeah.
And I wasn't overly pleased. But for the most part, I just kind of the community were great. Everyone who was kind of trying it out for the first time were very supportive, and it was kind of great to kind of work through that with them at the time. And the utility work just kind of went on as I was working on it. A couple of days, it was like, should I just stop? I think I said a few times in the admin channel of the Discord that I'm probably going to stop, but I never did. I just keep going.
Was that because of the pressure of all these new people wanting the app and wanting all these things?
A lot of it can be, yeah. I was just tired after a point. I'd also been working on the project for 2 years at
Yeah,
that point, which
totally
is a
understandable.
long kind of time. And the sudden increase in users was quite stressful for me
Okay.
to kind of manage that. While it is a community effort, I'm kind of the lead of it, and I take extra responsibility for everything that happens kind of in the community and
Yeah.
around the project itself. So it wasn't great times, but I kind of pushed through. I mean, obviously with the Denmark office sort of kind of rising up and everything kind of moving slightly back towards TC Helicon for the development
Yeah.
and continuation, it was everything just felt a little easier for me because I could direct correctly rather than trying to do the support of a company in my spare time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot to have suddenly on your back. And again, impressive that you managed it all. And I think the community, as well as us, are super grateful for that and for the utility app as a whole. You see there was that trend. I mean, what do you think about the GoXLR is dead trend?
Oh, it's clickbait nonsense.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's really disappointing to see to a certain extent. You read the message. Obviously, it indicate that nobody is quite sure what's going on anymore. But
Yeah.
you can run with that however you want to run with it.
Yeah.
I think the GoXLR is dead was a complete just jumping the gun completely when the message is basically we're working stuff out.
Right.
So it's frustrating to see, especially as I'm writing the utility, and
Yeah.
that's a thing that will still run the GoXLR, and your GoXLR is not going to just spontaneously explode in 3 days. It's fine, and then just seeing
true.
like all the implications, like no, it could just suddenly stop working. Like, no, it won't. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, there was some. Well, I think that's the thing about it, though, is you writing the utility sort of is a great example. You you can't really kill the GoXLR because the GoXLR is not about the company who creates it. It's about the community that's using it.
Yeah.
And it's got this huge Discord and hundreds of thousands of users who are all working together to get their sound back, and you are the perfect example of that, single-handedly writing the entire utility app. So that's really impressive, really special.
Thanks.
So we started to get in that direction, but I'm curious your thoughts on the future of utility development and GoXLR. So let's start maybe with utility app. Do you have any plans for longer term, shorter term? What do you think?
In short term, still going to just continue incrementally improving on it. Let's say we're release coming out in a couple of days at this point. So I'm going to be looking into that and then kind of going forward. Long term, it's difficult to say at this point. I'm not sure how much more go I kind of have with the project. I want to rewrite the entire thing from scratch with a completely different approach.
As with every software project.
Yeah, one of the interestingly and limiting things of the GoXLR utility is profile compatibility. Because one of the intents was you can take your profile from Windows, you can bring it to Linux, it'll just work. It'll read and write, and you can switch them back as necessary. That has limited some of the functionality which can be implemented, because if I want to add a new feature that's not present in the official app, then there's some workarounds which I have to do to kind of get that going in. So I look at features, probably the single most requested feature of all, fader paging.
Yes, very aware.
I look at that and I don't see any practical way of building that into the current structure of the code. While at the same time, I am very aware that it is very possible to do quite easily. So I'm just kind of looking at that, and so rewriting and discarding the legacy of the official app. Maintain the utility as a one-to-one pure copy-paste replacement for the app, but also bringing out something else as an alternative to the alternative, which actually which ditches the config requirements, but brings in all the features that can't be implemented now with those limitations. Would be certainly the longer-term goal. I've started working on the code for that. It's more of a playground at the moment where I'm just playing around with different things. But
any sneak peeks you can share?
There are videos on Discord of me doing fader paging, some in places, But
cool.
But fader paging is definitely in multiple mute targets. So when you press the mute button, it can mute to two separate sources instead of one. Press and hold button, you can define multiple sources. So there's no fixed press and hold anymore. It's configurable. Everything is configurable. I'm looking at potentially syncing multiple channels to a single fader. So there's a lot of potential in the GoXLR and just the hardware itself in its current state. And I'm kind of interested to see where we can go with that somewhere down the line.
Great answer. You mentioned the hardware itself being pretty competent. Are there any hardware features, like let's say you are envisaging a next generation GoXLR, how might that look for you?
I mean, I've been thinking about this question because I've been asked it a few times already. And I don't really have a solid answer for it.
Interesting.
For my personal use case, the GoXLR does everything I need it to do. I don't see myself adding extra to it to do something else. I mean, maybe a couple more sliders. Just have an 8-slider, no effect version of the GoXLR, possibly, just for those who really want that fine control over everything. But yeah, there's not really that much I can see, at least from a personal perspective. Maybe even an extra microphone port, so 2 XLR ports, so allow podcasting and other thing where you have other people just kind of stand around a table using a single device. Maybe something like that. But other than that, yeah, it's a good device. It works well.
Cool. That's a good answer as well. We definitely are thinking about those kinds of questions as well. So it's interesting to hear that you are fairly satisfied with the current array of hardware options. There's one other thing I wanted to ask about the transition to Denmark. How does it feel being here with this new Denmark team, mostly new Denmark team? And how do you feel about that changeover?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, obviously having the opportunity to actually come here and meet you guys face to face and actually chat with you and discuss things, it's been absolutely fantastic. I've enjoyed it. You're all pretty good, decent people.
Likewise,
you're great people.
We're stoked to have you.
You all seem competent.
I mean, I had the same because I moved from Canada, right? So it's also most of these people are pretty new to me as well. But I was really excited to see that there's an equally competent team here who are equally excited about the stuff they do.
Yeah.
Historically in music, but very applicable to gaming. And in fact, a lot of them also have interest in gaming in their personal lives. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and just seeing you all working, working on the GoXLR is always pretty reassuring from my perspective. It's just proven to me stuff is moving, which I think is what everyone kind of needs to see.
Yeah.
It's just reassuring. I've been talking to various people from this office for the last few weeks, months now, maybe, as the team has been growing, and it's been great to kind of hear about it and sort of start seeing things moving, even with occasional missteps with releases.
We're talking, December.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best day to release.
No, it's Christmas just around the corner.
Yeah.
So, it is progress, in one step at a time. It's good to see things starting to move again.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for being here, Craig. It's been great chatting with you, and really interesting to learn about the process of the utility app. And I think I speak for everyone at the office when we say that we're really excited to keep working together and seeing what GoXLR has in store.